Let's just cut levator scapulae too. The heck with it. Get that off. All right, now I have a prayer of getting in here and finding out what's under all this stuff.
Which region are we going to right now?
Well, right now we're trying to figure out stuff in the neck. And let me take a peek at this. I want to find splenius semispinalis. I'm not even pointing at these shreds. That says iliocostalis and oh, these are part of serratus dorsalis. That label is wrong. All right, so, I cut through part of it. I destroyed part of it here. But this very thin sheet of muscle lying on the neck is splenius. And so it was right in here, and I destroyed it. That's going to be a hard one for me to ask because I've done it so badly. But we'll see. One of you may have a much better dissection than I do. Okay, going through that. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have gone through it. What's in here? Let's see what continues from where. And that means I've got to go through this connective tissue, because I can't see. I've got to go through that connective tissue. Isn't this stuff wonderful? It's like cellophane. So this all looks like a thinning iliocostalis, doesn't it? And then it sort of splits up here. I bet it has a new name. Like that semispinalis dorsi. Let me look up the figure. Oh.
Dr. Well, do humans have fascia too?
Oh yes, sure. Lots of it. No, I'm having a problem finding anything up here. Where do they describe semispinalis dorsi? Oh, it should be after. Oh, okay, got it. Pulses lying deep to the splenius. It arises from transverse processes of chordal thoracic vertebrae, goes to the skull. It looks like. So it's going from vertebrae to the head, from transverse processes and to the head. That looks like this group here. So that's what I call semispinalis. There are other things in here which are little vertebral muscles that we're not going to worry about. So I don't think I'm going to ask the semispinalis.
So that comes off the iliocostalis?
Yeah, it looks like a continuation, but it doesn't. It's not described that way, and that's what's bothering me. I mean, we can certainly see this huge muscle, but then iliocostalis also seems to have. Now, wait a minute. Would this be a better candidate? Maybe that's iliocostalis. Could this be semispinalis up here? I don't know. We're going to have to leave that. If the description were better, dorsal to the iliocostalis, you will find, but it's not better. And so I'm stumped there. I'd have to get another book to look that up for sure. Now, there were some other things I saw here that were interesting, and then I flipped the page and lost them. Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember. Now, these things are extensors of the back. In other words, they flex it like that. The muscles that arch the back are actually ventral, and the chief among those is rectus abdominis, which goes from the sternum to the pelvis, because when that contracts, that's shortening the underside of the arch, and it'll cause the back to arch up, whereas the muscles above the neural spine, not above the lateral processes of the vertebrae, are going to do that. and that's these things. So the antagonist groups are widely separated from each other and attaching to very different elements, well, pelvis, to something anterior.
So this is called extensor, and this is
Um, what's the opposite? Flexors. Good, thank you. The other thing I want to show you now, scalenus muscles, we can see them a little better now. Coming in here, there's one division, here's another, and there's, I don't know if it's a third, what's above the third part, there's another there. And they're coming into the ribs, so I would say those are the scalenes. It says 3 muscles. Well, maybe this isn't part of it, who knows? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I can see them very nicely. But the thing that I think is really neat, what they would be doing when they contract is moving, you can see they move the rib cage forward. And in us, when they contract, they're moving it upward and outward. So they're contracting when you inhale to increase the volume of the thoracic cavity and let air flow in. There are also layers of muscle going from one rib to another. And you remember way back here, we had external and internal obliques. Between the ribs, if you cut along one rib and along another rib, and then across from one cut to the other, you should be able to find there are 2 layers of intercostal muscles that go from one rib to another. Now let's see, can I find a second layer, or am I just going to rip right into the lungs? I'm going to take this out, free it up, and then see. I think I've gone right through here. Oh, or maybe not. The point is, we have one layer of muscle fibers going this way and one layer going that way. And I think they do opposite things. So let's just check. External intercostals elevate the ribs, internal intercostals depress the ribs. So the outer layer is working with the scalenes to elevate the ribs when you inhale, and the inner layer is pulling the ribs all together to contract the thorax for when you exhale. So you may be luckier than me to find 2 layers there, and they really just continue 2 of the abdominal layers, the internal and external obliques, forward. Yeah, that's what I want. Okay. What else? Serratus dorsalis. This is another set of muscles that raise the ribs, and my little creature is a bit dried out, and they're not, can I get, no. They're coming right here. They're arising from this fascia and going down to the ribs, slanting down that way. So again, when these contract, they should, just check this, serratus elevate and elongate the thoracic cavity. So these are working with the scalenes and with the external intercostals, we call between the ribs intercostal, to raise the rib cage. And then the internal intercostals, not so much to depress the rib cage. It's very easy to get air out of the thorax, because when everything goes back into resting position, that creates pressure and pushes air out. The other thing that happens when you're breathing, there's another muscle mentioned, which is not a skeletal muscle, and that's the diaphragm, which, as you recall, is right in your body right here, arching up over the liver and posterior to the lungs. And your body organs want to take up space. Your abdominal wall is holding them in, and when you inhale, your diaphragm muscle contracts and flattens, and it's pushing, I think it's pushing the organs south. And that is increasing the volume of your thoracic cavity. Now, when you stop contracting all these muscles that are lifting the rib cage upward and outward and stop contracting the diaphragm, the ribs rotate back into their resting position, helped by the internal intercostals, and all your organs just go bloop and just push up again. So I think, as you know, if you're lying on your back and breathing, It's very easy to watch. As you inhale, your abdomen comes up because your diaphragm is flattening and it's pushing your organs that way so they're going to bulge up. And when you exhale, your abdomen flattens out because they're coming and filling in the space, some of the space in the thoracic cavity. Yeah.
Because of its constant rate of contraction, is it a specialized muscle? It's not skeletal, right? To its hierarchy.
It's probably very special. I don't know. We have to look that up, and we should look it up because that's interesting. How does the diaphragm differ from other muscles in the body, since it has a very different job to do, and it's always on, off, on, off. There's no stopping using it. That's a good question. I love the internet. We'll find this if I can remember, or you remember. You can probably even find a video of an animation of it working. Okay, so a little more dissection here. That's enough for today, and we'll do this